What's up, everyone? Pags here at MEI Studio. Today we're looking at a boutique mic company that has caught the attention of many professional studios and engineers, but might be a little off the radar for most. We're looking at Peluso Labs and the 2247 SE this week on the Mic Locker. With many of the mics we've looked at so far, there are only a handful of companies whose founder is still around to tell the tale, so to speak. I was fortunate enough to be able to sit down for a Zoom call with the founder of Peluso Labs, John Peluso, and his VP, Chris Newitt, to get a first-hand account of the history behind the company and the microphones. John Peluso started his journey into recording from a very early age. He grew up in the Chicago area at the height of the sound and film boom. When he was around 9, his father, a physicist who worked for Northrop on some government contracts, brought home some equipment that was being excessed from the factory, some Magnacorder tape machines. Heck of an item to be throwing away if you ask me, but one company's trash is another man's gold. So after playing around with the tape machines for a bit, John headed to a ham fest where he would score some other high-end equipment in the way of some Telati tube microphones. This company, which the first I ever heard of them, had an employee that would go on to make history of his own, Dr. Carl Scheps. When John was around 11 years old, he decided to walk through the door of a local film studio near his house, where he struck up a friendship with the owner. John would assist with repairs and would eventually be asked to help with recording as well. He was eventually given keys to the facility where he would bring his high school band in to record, and by the time he was at the ripe old age of 16 or 17, he figured out that his recording skills outweighed his musical skills on bass. By the age of 18, he went from a small 4-track studio called Laddie's to a bigger studio at Cash Records. A classic story of being in the right place at the right time. While visiting the studio, an engineer failed to show up for a recording date, and the manager asked John to take the session. And just like that, John was thrust into the recording industry of the Chicago blues, with his first recording there being with Howlin' Wolf's bassist, Blue Blood, along with some of B.B. King's band members. Within a few years, John took his skill set to the next stage of the recording process, mastering, when he got a job with Chicago Stereo Mastering. There, he mastered pretty much all of the Rounder Records and Flying Fish Records albums for Bruce Kaplan. The owner of Chicago Stereo Mastering was Werner Rubaltz, who was a physicist at Neumann during the Second World War. And Werner loved to talk microphones, and John loved to listen. Eventually, Werner would pass along Neumann's technical manuals to John, which he still has to this day. At 20 years old, John was hired by Sonar DB Studios, which had 3 massive film mix theaters and 7 recording studios, where he ran the tech department and engineering department. Fast forward to the late 1990s, where John was hired to work with Marshall Electronics on their MXL brand of microphones. John worked on the V69 large diaphragm mic and the 603 small diaphragm condenser, but it was here that he made connections to companies that could do some intricate metal work at a fraction of the cost of what was available domestically. After leaving MXL and letting his non-compete clause run its course, John was able to start Peluso Labs. While outsourcing the metalwork overseas helps to keep costs within reach of mere mortals like me, all of the Peluso microphones are built here in the United States. The boards are stuffed by hand, the capsules, whose specs and design originate from Peluso Labs, all go through a rigorous QC process to make sure that only the best goes into each microphone that leaves their shop. Every single mic is tested, graphed, burned in, and packaged by someone in the lab right here in the US. The information that is gathered is kept in their records for future use. While I was on the call with John, he was able to pull up the frequency response chart and other tech data from my particular microphone by using the serial number. To me, that's absolutely crazy that all of that information is kept, but here's why. If a Peluso mic ever fails for some reason and you send it back to them for service, they can reference the exact specs that the mic left the facility with and service the microphone according to that spec. So Your mic that you get back from service is operating exactly as it left the shop brand new. I've never seen another company go to that level. It's absolutely incredible. So that brings us to today's subject, the Peluso 2247 SE. The 2247 SE is a U47 style microphone that features an all-metal 6SJ7 tube. The original U47 was built around a now cost-prohibitive, if you can even find one, VF14 all-metal tube. The tube imparts a unique harmonic structure on the signal that you don't typically see with a glass tube. Why this is the case is up for debate, with many feeling that the tube's microphonics add to that. And not that the metal tube is better or worse, it's just different. The 6SJ7 tube that is in the 2247 SE is an all-metal tube as well and approximates that harmonic signature. There's another more expensive version of the 2247 LE, the limited edition, that uses an EF14 tube, which is even closer in spec to the original VF14 tube. But even those are getting harder and harder to find. At one point, Peluso did put out a glass tube version, but the mic didn't have the same character as the metal tube, so they decided to go towards a solid-state version. The P47 SS attempts to get a bit more of the classic tube U47 sound using solid-state components. Not quite a FET47, but not quite a U47. In the middle there. The 2247 SE also features a custom-wound transformer that closely matches the BV8 transformer found in the original mic. The mic comes in a hard case with a power supply that provides the high voltage that this mic needs to operate. The power supply also offers the user 9 polar pattern options from Omni to cardioid to figure 8 and everything in between. Originally, the mic had a 7-pin connector, which was recently traded in for a more robust 8-pin keyed connector, where the pins are just impressive. They're huge. It makes getting the cable in a lot easier and prevents any possibility of bending a pin by not keying up the cable correctly. And this is also a little closer aesthetically to the original microphone as well. As far as circuitry goes, there wasn't much in the original and not much in this recreation. A capsule, a tube, a transformer, and a sound. And what a sound it has. We're going to take the mic into the studio and put it on the usual suspects. Being that this mic is predominantly used for vocals, we're going to have a guest vocalist come in again and sing for us a bit. Let's get to it.
carry the law right under the seat. I thought it was mine till I couldn't sleep. So I say, Lord, set me free one more time, 'cause I can't see. I woke up with pride staring at me, daggers for eyes. It wants me to bleed, oh no, but I'm all yours. So this weight on me is taking off, 'cause I believe, oh. So I said, Lord, oh, set me free, oh, one more time, 'cause I can't see.
This mic, by far, is my favorite vocal mic of all time. I've had the chance in the past to use this mic next to a Telefunken U47 that was updated to the Nuvistor tube when the VF14 tubes were discontinued. The Nuvistor didn't do that mic any favors, as the bottom end was just not as full as what was coming out of the Peluso, and apparently, according to John, who owns the originals, was the biggest issue with the Nuvistor and a big reason why they decided not to even attempt to make their version of the mic using that technology. The mic sounds big and makes whatever it's picking up sound larger than life. The emulations of the U47 that we heard on the Townsend are close, but the Peluso still shines on its own. While no one can make an honest and true comparison to an original 47, since all of the originals are now like 70 or 80 years old, the tonal quality of the mic, especially for vocals, still hasn't been surpassed for me. In fact, the only thing that's come even remotely close is a clone of a 251 that I built that features a bit more air, which works well on some female vocals. I often use the Peluso as a mono drum room mic and occasionally on upright bass. When I'm recording a singer-songwriter for vocals and guitar at the same time, I turn the mic sideways and engage the figure 8 pattern so I can put the null of the figure 8 pattern towards the guitar and use another figure 8 mic, usually a C414 or something, where I can point the null side of that mic towards the voice. The separation you can get from this configuration is quite good and leaves you with a mixable 2-track. It's John's hope that the mics that he's putting out today will continue to be in service just as long, if not longer, than the mics they strive to emulate. The company stocked components for the mics that they build that'll last them for decades, ensuring that should anything go wrong, Peluso Labs will be able to make it right and to the original spec that you got your mic at. As always, if you've gotten anything from today's video, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. If you're interested in studio gear and other audio-related things, hit that notify button so you'll be notified when we put up a new video. If you have any questions about this video or anything else, leave a message in the comments section or reach out on our website. I'd love to hear from you. Well, that's going to do it for this time. This is Pags, signing off.